I want to describe to you how to use ultrasound imaging to view the anterolateral ligament, ALL, and in particular, the signs that are suggestive of the ALL being injured. We don't have any conflict of interest to declare. First, let's review the anatomical landmarks that will help us view the anterolateral ligament. This is an anterolateral structure with a tibial attachment that is halfway between the head of the fibula and Gerdy's tubercle. Its femoral attachment is behind the lateral epicondyle. The landmarks that must be located with ultrasound are Gerdy's tubercle, the head of the fibula, the lateral epicondyle of the femur. Another important anatomical landmark is the iliotibial band. This structure terminates on Gerdy's tubercle, as you can see on this diagram. It goes in a different direction than the anterolateral ligament. When doing ultrasound imaging, we locate the iliotibial band where it's inserted on Gerdy's tubercle, and then translate the probe posteriorly to locate the tibial insertion of the anterolateral ligament. Once it has been located, the major axis of the anterolateral ligament can be identified by rotating the probe clockwise or counterclockwise. Another essential landmark is the lateral inferior genicular artery. As you can see on this coronal MRI slice, this artery is located between the anterolateral ligament and the lateral meniscus wall. Locating the artery on ultrasound gives us an idea of where the joint line is located. As you will see later on, the artery is also used to analyze the anterolateral ligament dynamically. How are these steps done in practice? The patient is set up on the operating room table and anesthetized immediately before surgery. By palpating the skin, you can locate Gerdy's tubercle, the head of the fibula, and the lateral epicondyle, and then mark each on the skin. We mark these points on the skin to have visual landmarks when performing the ultrasound imaging. This is a typical ultrasound image with the tibia on the left and the femur on the right. The ITB is here with its insertion on Gerdy's tubercle. So when we move the probe posteriorly, the ITB disappears from the image, but a new hypoechogenic fibular structure appears left side of the image. Once the probe is turned to the major axis, this is the anterolateral ligament. You can clearly see the separation between the two sequences. We can also view the blood fluid in the artery, like on this ultrasound image. The tibia is on the left and the femur is on the right. The superficial structure is the anterolateral ligament, and the blood flow inside the artery can be seen in Doppler mode. For us, the possibility of performing dynamic analysis is one of the major advantages of using ultrasound imaging. In practice, we return to the initial position with the patient on the table with the supports. The ultrasound is used to locate the anterolateral ligament. As I just described above, the surgical assistant internally rotates the patient's knee to place the anterolateral ligament under tension. Here is the resulting ultrasound image. The tibia is on the left. You can clearly see that the ligament is loaded in this normal knee. You can see the increase in tension on the ligament when the knee is internally rotated. You can see here that the blood flow in the artery is interrupted when the knee is internally rotated. This does not happen when the anterolateral ligament is injured. Which signs are suggestive to an injury to the anterolateral structure? First, as you can see here on this image, where the tibia is on the left. The anterolateral structure does not change when the knee is internally rotated, so there is no tension on the anterolateral ligament. Furthermore, the better spatial resolution of the ultrasonography makes it possible to detect a large number of second fractures, as you can see on this static image. Thank you for your attention.